us who are quarantined, which is pretty much everybody, unless you are living with a massage therapist who will take pity on you, your option might be your own massage tool. And I've got one here called a Renpho. I think that's how you pronounce it. Who knows? But it works really, really well. So it's got a vibrating ball on it that kind of glides across your skin really easily, which is so helpful. I actually bought this right after I'd given birth to my baby, and my body was a wreck, and I had really no time to go anywhere to get a massage, and so I bought this out of desperation, and it made such a huge difference. And over the course of the last couple of weeks, I have spent so much time on the computer and on my iPhone and everything else. Staying in touch with people, number one, of course, that's really our only option these days, but for my business, I've been on the computer a lot. So needless to say, my neck and shoulders have not been super thrilled with me. So this guy has been my friend. So I'm gonna show you today how to go through a really nice massage routine and how to position your hands so that you can get the most out of this guy. And you don't need this particular brand per se. I mean, the things I'm going to teach you, you could use with a lot of different massage tools. This just happens to be the one that I have and that I have experience with. So I'm going to turn that baby on. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit too so it doesn't make too much noise. So you might decide that you want to sit like in a chair because just how your spine is aligned in the first place is going to make a really big difference in terms of how effective this is. If you feel like you're fighting to stay seated, then that's going to create a lot of stress in and of itself and won't be helpful. So sit in a chair if you need. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just doing kind of like sweeps. So I'm using both hands and I'm going down my mid-back and then basically dragging the flesh forward. Okay. And I'm targeting the ball right on the inner edge of my shoulder blade and then dragging it forward. And the shoulder girdle is so remarkable, really. It's our most mobile joint in the whole body. I think my voice is vibrating along with this thing. So your shoulders are your most mobile joint in your body. And because of that, there's a lot of choreography, if you will, that has to happen with all of those muscles. There's only one bony attachment for the shoulder girdle, and that's at your collarbone, and it's a really small attachment point. So point is that all of your muscles in your shoulder girdle have to work together to help keep your shoulder in place. And especially when you're doing, again, say a lot of computer work, there's so much effort in front of you that it can create a real imbalance in your shoulder girdle and start to tighten up your chest, which pulls the shoulders forward and pulls the neck and head forward and can create a lot of discomfort in not only your shoulder, but your neck. It can also affect your low back, okay? So again, here, what I'm doing is I'm taking this massage tool, I'm sliding it along the inner edge of my shoulder blade and then bringing it forward. And I'm using two hands and keeping my elbows pretty close to my body. That way I can really kind of pull downwards and use my lats, so kind of underneath here, to help exert some pressure on this. If you try to do this with one arm, sure, you'll get, some massage there, but it's just not nearly as effective. And so one of the muscles in particular that I'm going for here is the rhomboid, which is one of the muscles between your shoulder blade and your spine. And then the other muscle that I'm targeting right now as well are the upper traps. And the upper traps usually get pretty irritated with us on a fairly regular basis. Okay, and even, during really stressful times, the upper traps can become a place that people hold a lot of tension. If you ever find yourself, you got your shoulders up to your ears, okay, it's a place of fight or flight. So it can get pretty tight for a number of reasons. So again, I'm using both hands and I'm exerting pressure downwards into the massage tool and again dragging it forward. So you can do a forward and back motion, but then you can also do a circular motion. And you could also drop your head a little bit away from that massage tool to help open up the upper traps. And you'll notice as you go about this that you find some sore spots depending on where you're at. And then also if you come more to the anterior or the front of your neck, especially in towards your collarbone, again, you're going to start getting into the scalenes, which are equally annoyed oftentimes in the neck. And they, in conjunction with the upper traps, can get really tight and can also kind of lose their hydration factor. And so when our fascial system loses hydration, it loses its ability in a lot of regards to slide and glide. Okay, so part of the functionality of the fascial system is to allow the muscles to slide and glide against one another. And when we get really tight and when we start getting those knots in our muscles, we're losing that range of motion, and it can create a lot of discomfort and dysfunction throughout the shoulders. Okay, so now we're gonna do a rhomboid focused massage. So for this one, I'm gonna sit with my knees in front of me, and again, you could do this in a chair. You'll see that you can easily accommodate this in a chair. But the goal is to be able to round forward. So you're basically flexing your upper back and then allowing your shoulder blades to spread open across your back so that you can really get into some of those tighter areas between your shoulder blades. And again, your rhomboids are between your shoulder blade and your spine. And this is a little harder to do with both hands. But again, the more that you flex forward, the easier it'll be to curve your upper back and really spread your shoulder blades open so that you can get into that area. And again, you could do this seated in a chair. So you would scoot your butt back in the chair and round forward, and then allow your upper back to kind of hang forward, which again is going to help open up that whole area to that massage tool. Okay, now we're going to focus in on the forearms. So the forearms are generally not an area that we give much thought to, but especially for those of us who are spending a lot of time on computers, especially mousing, that can just do a number on your hands and your forearms. And the tighter your hands and forearms get, the tighter your neck is going to get, because those nerves run right up into your neck. So you can again do just kind of an initial flush of that massage tool. So I'm just doing kind of big strokes down my arm. And then you could get a little bit more precise. And there is a spot on the forearm that connects up with your big thumb right here. Okay, so I'm turning the inside of my elbow in, and then I'm focusing my attention right across this band. And again, you could do just up and down strokes, but you could also do some little circles. Okay, they don't have to be super big. And often that is a shockingly tight area for a lot of people. And you could go farther down the forearm as well. You could flip the forearm and get more into the soft underarm there. Do the other side. And the thumb is, you know, a pretty major player in shoulder health overall. And especially with the advent of the iPhone, I've seen such an uptick in people's shoulder girdle issues since texting and writing emails and everything has become such a popular thing to do on an iPhone. So taking care of your thumbs and taking care of your hands is really important. And for today's lesson, taking care of your forearms is really important. And then you could also go up into your bicep and even get up into your deltoids as well. And I promise you that you will actually be amazed at how much better your neck feels once you have paid some attention to your arms. And it's sort of counterintuitive, but maybe not either. You know, everything in the body is connected to everything else. And so, you know, for instance, if your thumbs are really tight, your thumbs are actually connected to your psoas, which is a muscle in your hip and your low back. The thumb and the psoas are connected to each other fascially. And so tightness in the thumbs can contribute to tightness in the hips. Okay? So indeed, it is all connected, as are we all connected to each other. All right, so we've got that. Then from here, we can get into the teres major, which is underneath the armpit. So this area gets really, really, really tight, again, when you spend a lot of time on a computer. So basically where I'm organizing myself here is, if you can think of a triangle here in the armpit, you're trying to massage through that whole section. And this is not only a release for the teres major and minor, but also for the lats. And a lot of computer work, what computer work will do, or even just spending a lot of time sitting and being on your iPhone, is it'll pull your shoulders down, okay? Ideally, which is very rare, honestly, for anybody to have neutral shoulders, but ideally the shoulders are pretty level with the collarbone, okay? So if you were to draw a straight line out from these inner nodules of the collarbone, straight line out, ideally that's where the shoulders would land. And usually, you know, one shoulder is in an entirely different position than the other shoulder is, and this is, you know, oftentimes a result of us just being super dominant on one side. But again, opening up these muscles underneath make a really big difference. It's a little bit more awkward, this particular one with the massage, so you could do a number of things. You could do what I'm doing here, but you could also even lay down on your side, which I'm going to show you, and put your hand behind your head, and then you can actually relax and push the weight of your body into that massager. And what I'm doing here is I'm moving my elbow up and down so that I can kind of disperse the effort of that massager into various areas of the shoulder blade. And you know, if you find a spot that feels particularly sore, spend a little bit of time there. And I want to point out to you the area that you will probably get the most response from. So right in here, I'm right on the edge of my shoulder blade right here. Okay, and I'm getting right into my teres major, and this is also the general location where the lats attach as well. So I found the inner border of my shoulder blade, and I'm just kind of using that massage tool to go right in there, okay? Don't be surprised if you're just kind of searching around and then suddenly it feels really intense, okay? You know that you've hit upon something there. So again, hand behind my head, and I'm just moving that shoulder up and down. And then you could even just rock your body against it as well. All right.